And I'm going to switch back to the other microphone now so I can wander around a little bit. Okay. All right, so you should have me back again, yeah? Can you guys hear me online? Cool. Okay, so, hi everyone, I'm Kate, and I'm the unit coordinator for this unit. And before we get too much further, I'll just point to Claire up the back of the physical classroom. Claire is our online community manager and online facilitator this semester. So Claire is going to be looking after the online students and making sure that they're all included in the chat. So for those of you online, we've got 2, 4, 7, 9, 12, 14 students in the classroom on campus, and there's 13 online as well. And I think I heard people asking about numbers before. There's 48 in this class this semester, so we're quite a decent size. So I really should have the intro slide first. In a minute, I'll tell you about what we're going to do tonight, but before we do that, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. So I'm the course coordinator for the Master of Information Science in Library and Information Practice and Information Management. And I'm also the subject area coordinator for Information Management in the Master of IT as well. My background is in libraries, so I started out working here at QUT Library. Then worked at the National Library. I was on their graduate program there. I came back to Queensland, worked at Gold Coast City Council Libraries for a while, and then kind of made the jump into academia. My research is more in the information research space than the straight library space. So I just finished my PhD last year, and my PhD looked at how new mothers use social media, particularly related to their information experience. So that's kind of my background. Claire, is that angle really bad up there? I feel like you're kind of looking right at my nose or something, so I'll turn the video off. Okay. So that's me. In the Master of Information Science, I teach this unit. I also teach the online mode in Understanding Research, also known as Research-Based Practice, which I know you're in this semester, Beck. No one else in this class, I don't think. You're doing it too? Yeah? Cool. Oh, you've done it already. Cool. And I also teach in the Bachelor of IT, where I teach social technologies, which is a unit about how people experience social media as part of their everyday lives. So that's kind of my perspective. I'm interested in the nexus between people, technology, and information, and particularly how they experience information via technology. That's my email address on the screen. So for those of you in my majors, if you've got any questions about your course, you're welcome to contact me anytime. And of course about this unit as well. My inbox is a bit of a disaster zone in first week of semester every semester, so if you need to get me quickly, Twitter's the best option, and I'm Katie Davis on Twitter. And we will be using Twitter in this unit too, so there'll be some more about that. Claire, do you want to introduce yourself as well? I'll bring you a mic. Thank you.
Okay, so hi guys, my name's Claire Thorpe. I've been teaching off and on at QUT since 2004, and embarrassingly enough, I actually taught Kate way back in the day.
You gave me a 6, not a 7 too.
Which is why I work for her now. So my day job is Manager Visitor Experience at State Library of Queensland, so I'm there a couple of days a week. My background in libraries is in academic libraries, worked in them for about 7 years before I made the jump over to the State Library, where I've had a couple of different roles. So I don't know if you haven't got my contact details on the slide for my Twitter handle, so I'll post that in the chat comments.
Thank you. They're also on the site. Awesome, thank you. So Claire is perfectly placed to be working with us this semester because her job relates to how people participate in the State Library. She's also going to be trying to organise a tour of the State Library for us as well. So hopefully we'll be doing that a little later in the semester, and it'll probably be a bit of a crossover between managing and organising collections and this unit as well. So you'll look at collections as well as programming as you go on the tour. And it's always a lot of fun. Just before we go any further, I am actually going to sit down, and the reason for that is I broke my foot a couple of months ago, and it's really sore tonight, so I'm going to sit rather than wander. I think it probably means there's a storm coming. I think it also means that there's a piece of metal in my foot that needs to come out. I'm over it. All right, so some of the lecture theatres are good because they've got stools in them, which was nice when I literally couldn't stand. So that's Claire and I, and you'll learn lots more about us as we go through the semester. And there's a bit of an intro to us up on the About Teaching section of the site. But we've given you an intro prompt as well, which is a bit more informal. So we'll give you an informal intro too. So the next part is where you guys get to introduce yourselves, and there are quite a few new faces in the room. So I'm going to do the pass the microphone around and get the guys in the on-campus classroom. Just give us a wave and say who you are and where you are in the course. We'll do the detailed intros on the site, but it will help people to put a face to names they see around the site. While we do that in the classroom, if those of you online could also type in the chat box and let us know who you are and where you're up to in the course. We'll start with you. Hamish, how's that for name recall?
Pretty good, hey?
Yeah, I'm usually terrible.
Hi all, my name's Hamish. I used to be a music teacher and this is my first semester. That's about it.
Hello, my name's Alan. I was an accountant for the last 10 years, so this is my first semester starting today. And I'm also a Ashtanga yoga teacher as well, so yeah.
Hi, my name's Cherie. This is my second semester. I started at the start of the year. I have a background in teaching and museum studies, and I'm passionate about community engagement, so looking forward to this subject.
Hi, my name's Anitra. I'm a geologist. I have a passion for organising and data, and I've always wanted to be a librarian since I was 6.
Hi, I'm Lisa. This is my second semester. I've got a background in education, and I've also wanted to be a librarian for a very long time, so I want to add that to my portfolio as well.
G'day, I'm Lucas. This is my first semester here. I just recently completed a degree at Kelvin Grove, and I'm doing this course because I want to be a librarian.
Hello, I am Ashley. I graduated last year in a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and this is my first semester.
Hi, I'm Paul. I may be an odd duck in this classroom. I'm actually doing a BPM major, but I still like to broaden my knowledge beyond my my BPM major. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Swellen, and my background is a media student. I just graduated last year, so this is my first semester here. Pardon? Bachelor in Mass Communication. Here is Master in Information Technology. Yeah.
Hi everybody, my name is Ali, and this is the second semester to me. I have a little background about programming and how to use some program such as C#, C++, like that.
Hi, my name is Helen. This is my last semester, and I'm on the home run, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's a great course. You'll love it.
Hi everyone, my name's Rebecca. I have a background in art history and galleries and museums, and I'm currently an editor, but I've always had a passion for libraries, so here I am.
Hi, I'm Chloe. This is my first semester in Masters of Library Information Practice. I did my undergrad in archaeology and paleoanthropology. Also an odd duck, but that's just because I do weird things.
Hi, my name's Kylie. I'm also in my first semester of library practice. I have a background in criminology, and I've worked in places like probation and parole for a little while, and did some sessional teaching in the School of Justice here at QT, and I've always wanted to be a librarian as well, so here I am.
Hi, my name's Beck. If anyone sees me online, I go under Rebecca, so that seems to confuse people quite a lot. I'm in my 4th semester of the MIS majoring in an LIP, so that makes me a bit of a dinosaur at the moment. I'm looking to graduate next year when I complete my research projects in 2017.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. This is my 2nd semester in the Library and Information Science thing. My background's in journalism and popular music studies.
Hi, I'm the 2nd Chloe in this class. This is my 2nd semester, 1st year. I have a background in journalism and I'm very interested in history.
All right, so you may have picked up on some themes, and that is that our students tend to have a humanities sensibility, as I like to call it, and come from humanities backgrounds. And this is the first class that I've ever done an intro in where it didn't degenerate into, hi, I'm Kate, and I also have a useless Bachelor of Arts, because this is how everyone phrases it. No Bachelor of Arts is useless, and however you get here is a valid pathway. So I'm also have a background in art history, although I didn't make it into practice in that field, and I ended up working with technology and libraries. So the pathways are diverse, and I think the synergies across all the different fields that we come from are really good. And Claire was a journalist too. I forgot that about you, Claire. Yeah, there you go. This is good. Writing is really important. It's really important to be able to write, and to write concisely and clearly is really important. And I know we've got one person in the room with a PhD. That's not actually uncommon. So we've got Kim online who's a PhD in history. But we often find that people with PhDs make their way back into this course because they love research and they love information and all the stuff that goes along with it. So however you found your way here, welcome. I'm going to talk in a minute about what the content of the unit is, and it might, for a couple of you up the back, you may not be as keen as you thought you were, but let's see how we go. So what I want to talk about tonight is, first of all, I'm going to go through a whole bunch of admin related to the unit. Then next, once we've kind of gone through, or once we've done about half of the admin, I want to show you the unit site, because it's really different from what you would normally expect in other units. So I want to give you a look around that and show you how to get around the site and where you might find different pieces of information. Then we'll talk about the assessment, and then I'm going to see how you're feeling at the end. We might cover a tiny bit of actual content, but we tend not to do a whole lot of content week 1, especially in the first class of the week, because I don't want to tire you all out before everyone else gets their crack at you. So let me start out by talking about the content in the unit. So this unit is about information programs, products and services in library and information organisations. It has a real focus on libraries. So this is one of the very library units in the degree. There's probably 3 of them that have a strong library flavour. This one, professional practice, and managing and organising collections. The collections unit is taken by information management students as well, but we do cover some key stuff in there like cataloguing, which is very libraries. It does cover general principles though as well, and less of kind of the hands-on practical cataloguing, because that tends to be taught more in library technician courses. So in this unit we focus on things like what happens in the library building and in other library spaces like online spaces. So when we talk about programs in this context, we don't actually mean programming. We mean program design and delivery, like creating and delivering story time at a public library or running information skills classes. So the word program doesn't mean what it means in an IT degree. That's not to say that you guys aren't welcome here, and IT students always take this unit and its precursor as electives and enjoy it, but just to be like cards on the table up front, I love having students taking this unit as an elective because it adds a real diversity to their perspectives in the classroom, but we're going to be talking about libraries a whole lot, so just to be clear on that. So the content in this unit is kind of divided up into two parts. The first part is theory, what I call theory and practice, and the second part is what I call types of programs, products and services. But before I go into the details, I'll just let you know that the precursor to this unit in the old degree was combined with the unit that you'll take as Emerging Technologies for Information Practice. It used to be a huge unit that took a focus on programs, products and services from an emerging technologies perspective. So we've split that content out, but you'll see some synergy and crossover because the technologies are often used in service delivery. And participatory technologies have really informed the way that libraries program now, which is about participation and getting people involved in what happens in library and information organisations. So having said that, the kind of arbitrary terminology I've chosen to divide the two sets of content is theory and practice, and then the types of programs, products and services. Now I use the term theory really, really loosely because there isn't actually a whole lot of theory in this space. This is a very practical aspect of the discipline, as is the kind of managing and organising collections stuff. When we talk about collections management, we often talk about it as the art and science of collections management because a lot of it happens from experience. Like good collections managers are good at what they do because they're experienced. And I think sometimes the same thing can be said for good program managers. They're good at what they do because they know their community base, they know how to reach them, they know the kinds of things that they're interested in. We're all about evidence-based practice in this degree, so we're going to talk to you about how you know those things. You don't just know them based on gut instinct, you know them based on data and experience and engaging with what other people have done. So that kind of underpins what we do. But there is no real theory on how to design and deliver programs, at least not in the LAS space. Instead, what we do is pull from different disciplines. So this semester we'll pull from design, we'll pull from marketing a little bit. So we'll bring together different disciplines, education as well, so that you can see how those things intersect in what we do in libraries. So in the theory and practice weeks, we're going to look at what are programs, products and services and how do we design, propose, manage and evaluate them. This week we're doing the introduction to the unit and a little bit of content at the end. Next week I've deliberately taken a week out to think about learning communities and how you're going to participate in this learning community in this unit. And there are two reasons for that. The first reason is that it will help you to do well in this unit. And the second reason is that what we work with in libraries is communities. And libraries are learning organisations in terms of the way they contribute to other people's learnings in their communities, but also within libraries themselves, we like to embody the idea of learning communities in the profession, so in the organisation, that we're always learning and growing our staff. So we're going to talk about learning communities. We're going to talk particularly about one framework called Community of Inquiry, which is a framework that looks at factors including something called cognitive presence, which we'll learn a lot more about next week, but basically is a way of looking at to what extent people are engaged by looking at the output that they produce, so the critical reflection blog posts that you write during the semester. So that's what we're going to do next week, and we're going to have a team come in and work with us. They are the Connected Learning Analytics Toolkit team. There's a project at QUT funded by a national grant looking at what they call learning analytics in the wild. So how do we measure learner engagement when really frustrating teachers like me go rogue and don't use the learning management system, but instead they're using social media and building their own sites and blah, 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 blah. So this project is about looking at how they can actually measure what engagement is going on, and they're going to help you to understand your engagement, which will in turn help you to improve your mark in the unit.
Sorry, is this being run by Kirsty Kiddo?
It is being run by Kirsty Kiddo, yeah, and you know she's awesome. Yeah, she is. So you guys will have the opportunity to opt into participating in their research, basically. So you can not do it if you don't want to, but it's really, really interesting to look at your data, because what they've created is this toolkit that allows you to look at the trends and patterns across your own usage of social media in the unit, and you can see what you're up to. And some really interesting things start happening because we use Twitter chats in this unit. So I encourage you to think about doing that. In week 4, we're going to talk about participatory libraries, which is kind of like an underpinning concept for how libraries operate now. And that, I think, is an interesting discussion. It carries across the whole GLAM, galleries, libraries, archives, museums sector. It's not just, participation isn't just a trend in libraries, but we're going to talk about where the roots of that came from and how that has kind of evolved over time. In week 6, we'll be doing a workshop on designing programs, products and services. This is the one week where there won't be a live online class. And the reason for that is that we do a design thinking activity in class that's very hands-on. So instead of doing it simultaneously online, I give the online students a version to do asynchronously, which works better, and then we can discuss that on the blogs. In week 8, we'll pick up a little bit more of that stuff, probably workshop a few more of your ideas, but we'll also look that week at how you actually propose new projects. In fact, we might do that a tiny bit earlier. We'll see how we go. But that's about when we'll start talking about how you scope a project to create a proposal, which you'll be doing for your final assignment. In week 10, we'll spend some time on evaluation of programs, products and services, but we'll also pick up on some other things. We invariably get sidetracked by interesting discussions, and I like to kind of take advantage of people's experience and let people talk, so we will use that as a bit of a catch-up week as well. And in week 13, we'll have just a 1-hour bringing it all together lecture. So that's the theory and practice stuff. And in all of those weeks, we'll have a class of one description or another, except for week 10, which is a public holiday. So there'll be online materials that week. So the other half of the unit is the types of programs, products and services content. And this is where we'll be doing an issues-based exploration of the different types of programs, products and services. What we're going to cover are these topics on screen. So we'll start next week with reference services, which is kind of the age-old, this is how we, I guess these are some of the traditional conceptions people have of the services libraries provide. Like when you were a kid and you went up to the public library reference desk and you said, I've got an assignment on astronauts, and they wrote down a call number and sent you off to the stacks. So we're going to look at how reference has evolved over time, and that will be our first Twitter chat week. So in these weeks we'll be having Twitter chats, and you'll have online resources to work through. Those online resources will include things like readings, short videos, so material that I've curated for you, but in quite a few weeks there'll also be podcasts there as well of interviews I've done with people on these topics, so that you can kind of come to grips with the key trends. Now the great thing about doing these things as Twitter chats is that we will have guest tweeters coming along and lots of experienced people in industry who will be invited to participate, but we invariably have a whole lot of other people jump in as well, and so they're really dynamic and interesting conversations. In week 3, we'll go softly, and I won't explicitly invite any guest tweeters, so that you've got time to kind of get a feel for the pace. In week 5, we'll kind of move on to the next thing. We often talk about reference and readers advisory services together, but I'm splitting them out because I think literacy is such an important topic to cover. So we're going to look at reading and literacy in week 5. In week 7, we'll look at information and digital literacy. Week 9, we'll look at making and maker spaces. Week 11, we'll look at research support. Week 12, children and teens, and week 13, culture and pop culture. So I picked some of the biggest trend areas in library, but also the core things that you need to know about, like information literacy, very important. Research support services is kind of the boom area in academic libraries. So picking the most important things. But the great thing about the Twitter chats is these topics are fairly diverse, and you'll be exposed to lots of different perspectives on lots of different angles on the topic. So that seems to work very well. If there's something that you were expecting or wanting to cover in this unit and you don't find it on the list, then please let me know. But the other thing I wanted to add here is that We're not exclusively talking about libraries here. I'll say libraries a lot, but I think we have a lot to learn from other organisations in the GLAM, galleries, libraries, archives and museums sector. Probably going to say GLAM a lot this semester. It means galleries, libraries, archives and museums. So we have a lot to learn from the GLAM sector, so please bring all your experience and feel free to contribute. Okay, so are there any questions about the content that we're going to cover? I've seen a couple of people shooting photos of the slides. I will put the slides up afterwards too. I have a bad habit of changing the slides 5 minutes before I start teaching, so I never put them up in advance, but they'll always be there afterwards. So that's the content. Now I want to talk about the kind of foundations for how we do this unit. And the first foundation is really the idea of community. So I believe that learning is social. I think we learn best when we learn in conversation and dialogue with others and when we can explore ideas together. And so that idea really underpins how this unit is designed. This unit is also designed to deliberately connect you with the profession because I believe that learning is social and you'll keep learning when you leave here. But it's really important in this particular profession, in libraries, for you to be embedded in networks before you leave here. It's really important for your capacity to get a job. It's really important for your ability to kind of build a career in the profession as well. And one of the things that we often find with people in this degree is that people come in and are quite hesitant about networking and about their capacity to network. So I didn't become a curator because I was petrified of networking, and I didn't think that I could possibly work the gallery circuit enough to be a successful curator in the gallery environment. And then I got to this course, and the first thing I realised was this is a networking profession, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? But the great thing about this profession is that it's also a profession that's really highly connected through social media. And social media is a great leveller because it lets you make connections and build connections there, which can be really nice when you're going into your first conference. You've already got a bunch of people that you know online that you've gotten in with. So we will get you connected in those spaces this semester, and that will help a lot with that. So don't be concerned if the word networking terrifies you. It terrified me too. But you can learn to do it, and I'm okay at it now. I still have to go and have my introvert time afterwards in my hotel room at conferences though. Sometimes I even sneak away to the bathroom for 5 minutes of quiet, but we can learn to do it. So we'll help you to get connected through this unit. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about next week as well. I'm going to get you guys to do a bit of a survey on how you're feeling about using Twitter at the start of the semester, and then I want you to do another one at the end of semester and see how you feel then. Because I know that there's a lot, last semester there was a lot of, or last year there was a lot of apprehensiveness about the Twitter chats, but they were uniformly, unequivocally loved by everyone who did the unit. The other kind of foundation in this unit, and really through all the core units that you'll do in the Master of Information Science, is that we learn through assessment. We don't just assess learning. So formal education says that we have to give you a grade based on how well you do on assessment, but you know, I think that lots of us as educators can see that that is a flawed system, and that assessment doesn't just have to be about measuring how good you are, it's also an opportunity to do your learning. And so we deliberately design assessment so that you learn as you do it, which is why you have lots of blog posts to write in this unit, so that you'll actually be writing and forming your own opinions as you go through, and that will form part of your assessment. This is the other foundation, and that is the idea that you'll notice I deliberately called Claire an online community manager, and that's because that's a big part of our role in this unit, is that we are here to manage the online community, to share what we know, hopefully to share our passion and enthusiasm for the profession, and you'll hear me I'm sure I'll get on my soapbox about librarian superpowers and connecting people and how wonderful the profession is. And I hope that we get to, I guess, that translates for you guys. We're here to share our knowledge as well, also our connections, which I think is really important in this unit. So we will curate the right resources for you, we'll facilitate conversations, facilitate the community, facilitate learning experiences like field trips to State Library, and yes, of course, manage the community as well. So what I'm doing right now, I hope to never do again this semester. I don't really like to sit or stand up here and talk at you. It's not really how, I don't think it's how learning necessarily works best. So I'll try not to do it. Sometimes it happens. So in order to make all of this work, there has to be some rules. And apologies to those of you who came to orientation, because you've probably seen some of this stuff already, but I'll fly through it. So these are the kind of ground rules for how we participate in this unit. You're all adults. Some of you have just come straight out of undergraduate degrees, and that can be a bit of a transition. But I hope that as final year undergrads, you weren't quite as unindependent as my second year undergrads were last semester. It's your job to be in charge of your learning, to be independent, find your way, and choose your own adventure. Tailor what we do to what interests you. Make your own path through it. That's your job. It's also your job to be a good community manager. When it comes to group assignments, that means, sorry, not community manager, community member. So pull your weight on group assignments, look out for each other, answer each other's questions, collaborate. Be respectful. One of the most important things is that everybody gets a voice and that we give space to other people to contribute. So if you're like me and you're the loudest person on the table, sometimes that means just leaving room for other people to talk, which sometimes I forget to do. But do your best work as well. I think that's really important in being respectful as well, and be present when you're here. That's not to say don't tweet or whatever else, and I certainly don't expect you to be sitting here staring at me the whole time, but if you have made the trek into the campus, paid for parking, or spent the time on public transport, then definitely be present. And this is different for online students as well. I know that many online students will sit their laptop on the bench and cook dinner while they're watching or listening to class, and that's fine too. But Claire is here to help you guys engage as well. Neil, that's a really interesting point you make about blogs. For those of you who can't see the screen, Neil says, I don't love blogging, it's foreign to me. Blogs are subjective, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. They don't have to be. Be brave and bold. Try it, make mistakes, fail forward, share your opinions. That's a big one in this unit. You are going to have an opinion and write about it. So we don't want you to just spout opinion. We want it to be informed by the things that you've read, but I definitely want you to form your own opinions on things, and there is no right or wrong, as long as you agree with me. But really, no, share your opinions, and that does take a little bit of time to do, but this is a really positive, nice community, or it usually is anyway, so I'm sure it will be very nice, but everyone is supportive and will engage with you in a positive way. So I see what you did there, Leela. So do take the risk and put your opinion out there. You will reap rewards from doing it. Be organised. This is important in this unit because you've got lots of small deliverables. It's really important that you've got a calendar and you use it. If you need some assistance with organisation, I am a organisation fiend and have some blog posts on the topic. But use your calendar on your computer and put those dates in there and use the schedule. Block out your time. You know, you're going to have to contribute to the learning community, and you have to remember that you need to do that. The way I remember I need to do that is there's a reminder in my calendar at the end of the day that says check the IFN 614 site If it wasn't there, you guys would all be out of my mind. But when it's in my calendar and that alarm goes off, then I go off and dutifully check the site. So you guys might want to think about putting those systems in place too. So when we're on social media, these are some ground rules for engaging in social media. Talk to each other, have conversations, create a vibrant back channel. So please do feel free to use Twitter during the class. I will have to turn notifications off though, because I keep seeing things and being distracted tonight. So that's why I'm saying a lot, because I keep seeing tweets. Actually, I just say a lot anyway, but that can be the excuse. So get engaged in discussion, talk to each other, answer your peers' questions. Create an online identity. So think about how much you want to disclose about yourself and make a deliberate decision about that. And then put a line in place and decide how you're going to engage and how much of yourself you're going to present. Decide if you just want to be Kate at uni in this class environment, or if you want to be really building that professional identity as a new professional. I'd suggest the latter is the way to go. Start building that professional identity, but think about, you know, as a new professional, how much of yourself, how much of your personal life do you want to have out there as well along with that. I'm a very hard on the sleeve kind of person, so I share a lot about myself online, and there is complete crossover between my different identities. They're all interlinked. And I'm just Kate everywhere. But it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Be mindful of boundaries. So interact in class spaces. This isn't such a big deal in this unit, but in other units when you're using Facebook, people will you know, say don't friend people unless they're actually your friend. So yes, friending is for friends. Also just remember that Claire and I are people too, and sometimes we like to have a weekend. And may not respond to your inquiries super quick. Say it with a smile. So your opinions are good and debate is really good as well. It's also absolutely okay to be informal. You don't ever need to call me doctor, ever. I'll just let you know. Just be respectful is our only expectation. We're not about formality here. Informality is fine. Just be nice to each other. And finally, think about privacy. So make sure you're aware of your own privacy settings, but also some students in the unit will invariably choose to use a pseudonym when they're on the unit site or on Twitter. So please just be mindful of that and don't out them with their real name if they've opted to go for a pseudonym. This is how you get in touch with us before I give you all the contact details. We've got a Gmail account that we use for the unit so that Claire and I can both check it, and that saves your emails from getting lost in my cavernous inbox. But then there's also the, we've got a Twitter account for the unit as well, which both Claire and I will be monitoring, and that's it there. It's QUTIFN614. All these details are also on the unit site, but just to confirm, I think everyone's finished writing. Okay, so here are some guidelines for contacting us. We'll always try to respond to you on the same business day for social media contact, as long as you didn't send the tweet at 8 o'clock at night. So we'll try and respond within one business day. We'll try and respond to emails within 2 business days. If you need a meeting with me, you'll need to book it 2 business days in advance. And if you want to call me, you can do that, but I'm usually in meetings, so it's generally better to email or tweet me first to make a time to call. I'm almost never at my desk, so if you want to see me, don't come to the building because I may be working from home or I may be in meetings. So please let me know in advance so I can make sure I'm there. Just keep in mind that business hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We know you guys are postgrads, and that means that many of you have jobs between 9 and 5. So we do try to respond out of hours when we can, but that's a personal decision. You know, we all have different availability. Most of us have got kids, and we can't be available 24/7. In different units, you'll find that there are different guidelines in place, but I always check social media and my email late on Saturday afternoon so that you're not waiting the whole weekend for contact. So, yeah, just keep in mind, sometimes we do reply at 10 o'clock at night, but that's an exception rather than the norm. Okay, you don't need to see that. So here is a workflow for how you get answers to your assignment questions. First of all, check the assignment brief because they're very detailed and often the answer will be there. If the answer isn't there, then watch the assignment overview video, which isn't posted yet, but when it is, you'll probably find the answer there. If it's not there, check to see if it's already been answered in the discussion space. Now, we're using Twitter as our discussion space this semester, which means you can't retrospectively go back and check. But as we answer questions, anything that we think isn't covered in the assignment brief, we'll actually put in a comment on the page, on the unit site, so that you can see what's been happening there. And often that's the best place to ask assignment questions, is on that assignment page. Then when you can't find the answer later, you know where it is. It's back on that assignment page. And if you still can't find the answer, then ask it in the discussion space. So ask it on Twitter. You can also make a post on your blog and ask it there if you want. But often you'll find that one of your peers will respond before Claire or I get there. So there's a method in the madness to asking you to ask questions in public, and that is that it makes your life easier and it makes our lives easier as well. But we do write really detailed assignment briefs, and I hope that you won't have to ask too many questions. So those are rules for you, but there's also some rules for us. As I said, we'll try to respond to your emails within 48 hours and social media on the same day. We'll be as flexible as we possibly can with recordings and offering simultaneous classes and options for engaging. We'll be in the community with you. We'll also be thorough, so hopefully the assignment briefs will be nice and detailed. We'll give you useful and specific feedback on your assessment. Claire will, anyway. And we'll make sure you've got up-to-date, complete and thorough content. Not that it'll ever be complete, because that just isn't possible, but we will make sure it's certainly up-to-date and the latest that industry is dealing with. We'll also be organised. So because we're on a Monday night, we will aim to have material up on a Friday so that you've got like 10 days before you need to have engaged with the material before class. So for next week's class, in theory, the material would have been up on Friday just past, but it isn't yet, and I will get it up in the next day or two for you. But moving forward, we'll try and have it up that 10 days before. For the Twitter chat weeks, when you have got to write a blog post, I'm going to try and get as many of those weeks up in advance as I can, so that you can be preparing those blog posts in advance if you want to do that. And the other thing we'll do with organisation is we'll get your assignments back to you within 2 weeks, pending disasters, but it usually happens. Are there any questions about ground rules? No? Okay. That's my recorded message portion of the evening over, and we can go back to talking about the interesting stuff now. Okay, so this unit's design is a little bit different, and you'll find that across the Masters of Info Science, if that's the degree that you're doing, that we do use a bunch of different learning design in different units to kind of tap into the different content sets. So in this unit, there's kind of 5 bits of, I guess, the design, except the online learning activities and assessment are kind of intrinsically related because they are essentially the same thing. But the first thing is we'll have these workshops. So we'll have classes in some weeks, but not every week. We'll have online learning materials, which you'll engage with in your own time. There'll be online engagement in the form of Twitter chats and you guys talking to each other around the site. You'll be completing assessment, including a grant proposal, as well as your online learning activities. So the online learning materials and the online learning activities together will form the basis of your learning in the weeks that we look at programs, products and services types. So normally at university you're expected to put about 12 hours a week of study into a unit, and you can expect to spend 3 to 4 hours a week of that in a classroom. We don't do that here. Instead, we use 12 hours a week over 13 weeks, and we use that time differently from week to week. So we try to make the learning resources that you've got to work through in your own time reflective of how much time you're spending in class that week. And the bonus is that you're completing a great big chunk of your assessment as you go through the unit working through that material. So, a quick word about classes. This is how we'll be doing classes. I'll be here in the on-campus classroom teaching, and Claire will be in the online classroom, probably sometimes here, sometimes at home, maybe? Okay, cool. So while Claire's here in the classroom, that's great. We have a kind of more unified space. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that these are two separate spaces with two teachers. So Claire is here to make sure that everyone in the online classroom's okay, and I'm here to look after you guys. So it is a bit like broadcasting into the online classroom, which is kind of the best of a bad bunch of options, really, for in terms of how we can merge the classes. But we make it work pretty well, and I think last semester we didn't have an online facilitator at all, and certainly the feedback was really good about how the classes ran in this unit. So I think we'll all be okay, but just keep in mind we are two people. There will be stuff for you to do in advance of the classes, including reading, sometimes some mini lecture videos to watch, occasionally some activities, but often not. In this unit, they'll mostly be reading, and there generally won't be heaps. Next week is the exception. There will be a few readings, still not heaps, but you'll probably do less reading in the class weeks in this unit than you would do in others. So please do work through that stuff in advance, because we'll be assuming that everyone's worked through it and working from kind of that base level. If you can't make it to class, you really need to watch the recording. Now, I'm not sure if I would watch a 2-hour class recording, just to be honest. Doesn't sound particularly exciting to me, but sometimes we say stuff in class that impacts on assessment, and it's a really good idea to make sure you are across everything that we've covered in class. Can you do this unit without ever attending a class or watching a recording? Normally I would say yes, but actually we teach the kind of the practice of writing grant applications in this unit, and you've somehow got to engage with that content. You might be okay, Cherie, because you've actually won one, but we'll all ask you for advice. But you do need to kind of learn what the drill is with writing a grant application, and I think the classes are pretty interesting in this unit. We'll do our best to make multiple formats available for you, so the time I do listen to 2-hour lecture recordings is in the car. So I'll try and make an audio version available for you as well, so that you can just listen to it on your commute if that works better for you. But it is worth putting in the time. Like when I actually bothered to listen to lectures, I'm always really glad that I did, but I know that it can feel like a chore to do that. So if it's going to feel like a chore to you, then come to class, because it's important. So when we're not having classes, we will be having Twitter chats. Who has participated in a Twitter chat before? Have you participated in a Twitter chat before? How many people in the room use Twitter? Okay, I've got an account. How many use it actively? Pretty actively. During semester, actively. Okay. All right, maybe about 4. Okay, cool. A couple online. Sorry? Yeah. I have to say that at the moment I'm during semester actively. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of when I remember. Yeah, okay. Twitter's really great. It's like my first love with social media, really. I really have great fondness for Twitter. So what a Twitter chat is, for those of you who haven't participated in one or who may not actually know what one is basically it's a time when you set up a predetermined time and a bunch of people get together. They all use the same hashtag, and they generally respond to a series of questions that are tweeted during that period and have conversations about it. So there is a section on the unit site, I'll show you when I do a tour in a minute, where you can read all about Twitter chats, and there's a guide there that I wrote after I experimented on last year's cohort and facilitated my first Twitter chat with the class, and we learnt some stuff. it still went really, really well. But just as an indication, in one of the chats last year, there were over 900 tweets pumped out in that hour. So it's a significant volume of content, and the really awesome thing about it is I could never expose you to that many perspectives on the issues in a classroom. It's just a different kind of experience, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. Good question. So, question in the classroom, are you at a disadvantage if you can't type really quickly? Maybe. So, I give you the questions in advance. So that means you can think about your responses in advance, and you can have some pre-typed responses as well, which will allow you to think about what's actually being tweeted and to respond to people in that time. The conversations will often continue after the Twitter chat as well, so you don't have to kind of, bam, 7 o'clock, see you later. Did we make it 7 till 8 last time, Claire, or 6 till 7? It was, yeah, it was 6 till 7. Yeah, so it's not bang, 7 o'clock, see ya, we're out of here. You can continue those conversations, and you will find people might reply to you 5 days later. So there are lots of different ways to manage the typing thing. There are Twitter chat clients which automatically put the hashtag in for you, so you don't have to type the hashtag every time. Yeah, copy and paste is helpful. Lots of different strategies that we'll come up with, and you'll develop your own strategies as well. There was another question in the chat which was, is 900 tweets overwhelming? Yes. And for that particular Twitter chat, I was like tweeting on my laptop. I had my second laptop beside me monitoring my tweet deck, and then I had my iPad as well. I can't remember what I was doing on my iPad, but I had something going on my iPad too, and it was so ridiculous. I took a photo of I was sitting on a bed and I had all these devices around me. Nobody at home can talk to me while I'm in a Twitter chat. It's like, see you later, and then I'm like, for 45 minutes afterwards, I'm like, don't talk to me, I'm recovering. It's pretty full on, but it's really energizing. Like, after the first chat, people logged off and they were like, oh my God, that was so energizing. I feel so inspired. So I hope that it's that way for you as well. You don't have to read every tweet. That's the thing, right? You'll very quickly get to identify who in the list says things that you're interested in, who kind of has the same sorts of thoughts that you do, who might say the really contentious, outlandish things that you want to be ready to respond to. We'll have our guest tweeters' handles in advance so that you can keep an eye out for them as well. An hour. You don't have to keep up with the thread. Go, Claire. Hang on, she's running for the mic. It took me 2 years to remember to run for the mic.
Okay. So one of the things that happened last year, and this will happen as you get more familiar with Twitter, is that you may find that in the hour, you actually start having a conversation with a couple of people in the group. That is fine. If you guys are having a conversation amongst yourself about the topic, that's totally fine. If you're having a conversation about what you're having to drink while you're surviving the Twitter chat, probably not so relevant. But we want you to actually talk to each other in the space, not just be shouting out your answers. So if there's a couple of you replying to each other, just having your own thing, totally fine. Don't feel like you then have to come back and catch up on the 75 tweets that have been happening in that 5-minute space. So you'll kind of get the flow of it, and it is something to experience, and that's okay. And look, the first couple of times you might want to lurk, or you might want to actually just lurk on another Twitter chat. I don't know if there's an Auslib one coming up sometime soon. Yeah. And you can't until you do it, really. Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to take over the mic. You got a question?
No, it's good. You have a different perspective than me. Yeah, so you can't visualize it, no. The great thing about the Twitter chat applications are that they've got pause buttons, so you can press pause on the conversation so that your feed doesn't keep going while you're trying to compose a response to someone else. The other thing too is these don't have to be super detailed, considered. This is smash out your ideas and your opinions, and nobody's going to shout you down for it. No, nobody will shout you down for it. They don't have to be, you don't need an academic reference, or, this isn't about having, an evidence-based opinion. Just get into the conversation. People were really worried last year, And I've got a blog post going up tomorrow morning about Twitter. And I wrote it last year because people were like, whoa, Twitter, I don't want to do this. But it was really one of the most raved about aspects of the unit. People who hated Twitter were converted by the Twitter chats. Cool, awesome, we've got a convert already. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, you just kind of dip your toes in, which is why I won't ask any people specifically from industry to come next week so that you can have some time. Neil, do you mean some folk get smashed in terms of like trolling and nastiness? Yeah, nah, I didn't see any trolling or nastiness in our Twitter chats last semester. Still limited to 144 characters. So these are bite-sized pieces of content. Yeah, and we've got lots of strategies you can use. Like the blog post will. Yeah, that's okay. I'll convert you. Don't worry. You'll get that. No. There's strategies you can use if you need to write more than 144 characters. But also, those are things to follow up in a blog post. Like, if you want to write more than 144 characters about it, you've probably got your reflection for that week sorted. You know, that's probably something you want to write about. The other thing with the Twitter chats is, yes, like Claire said, we're all going to be nicely to each other, behave nicely to each other. The other thing with the Twitter chats is that you're all going to have to sign up for a week to be like the champion for the Twitter chat. And what that means is that in that week, your reflection is a direct response to the Twitter chat. So if you can't make a Twitter chat one week or you find the pace challenging, then you need to go... Oh, I've just got a connection problem here, sorry. Then you need to go and read people's reflections that week because that's where you'll catch up on the things that you might have missed during the chat. So that's a deliberate strategy. That kind of Twitter chat champion thing is not just something I made up to make you participate in a Twitter chat. I sort of did that. But it's also about getting people to write detailed reflections on the chat because you can't have detailed critical discussions in... Sorry, we're having Wi-Fi difficulties. Did you just get booted out as well? Yeah. Sorry guys, in the online classroom, we've just got some Wi-Fi difficulties, but you've still got my slides, even though I'm not there. Okay. I'm hoping to reload. Yes, please ask. No, you'll be at home in your PJs with a glass of wine, I hope. Oh, okay. So I definitely... Yeah, getting thrashed, literally. Love it. I will definitely be at home in my PJs. There is no way I could do it in class, and you'll need a computer. It's during class time. We don't have classes in those weeks. Yeah. So, okay. I talked about it out of order, and so that's probably why it's not making a great deal of sense. So we're doing this for a few reasons. First of all, to get you embedded in networks in the profession. Also to get you across a broad range of content in a short space of time and diverse perspectives, because I think that's really important. The other reason is because I like to have opportunities where the whole class is in the same space, as in this case, a virtual space. And why not Twitter as opposed to clunky classroom technology? I think it works quite well. So it's kind of a level playing field for everyone where nobody gets privileged. It's not online students privileged or on-campus students. It's just an environment where we're all in it together. And the guest tweeters from industry are really important in this, but like last semester we had half a dozen people from industry just randomly join in the conversation anyway, most weeks. Yeah, from New Zealand, from Europe, yeah, all over the place. So I think so, yeah, yep. I think we had some contribution from Singapore as well. So people, in the lead up to the Twitter chat for the few hours ahead of it, I kind of broadcast messages saying what we're going to do, and then that tends to bring a few people in, but also people that are connected to us just see us having conversations about these things, and they're invested in it, so they get in there and talk as well. So it really is actually, it's a whole lot of fun, and I think you'll all enjoy it. The pace is big and exhilarating. Yeah, but it's good fun. Now, I can no longer control the slides because I got booted out here. Hang on. Do you guys want to have a break, or do you want to push through? Push through? Yep. Yes, we'll have a like a 5-minute even. You don't have to run. Okay, so those of you online, we'll come back at 6:40. Won't be too long. One second. Yes.
When you were mentioning that Twitter chat champion thing,
Yeah.
Is that like a summary of the entire Twitter chat?
No, you just pick up on the things that are interesting to you and write about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
thanks.
Was it you that just said my name?
I've just been having trouble. I tried to register for stuff and didn't email me with the
No, but I
link.
did approve your account, so...
Still not.
Okay. I'll have a look after class if that's okay, because we'll have to jump in the back end and... Cool. Yeah, the QT spam filters are really aggressive and frustrating. Steph, that's a good question. I'm going to answer it when everyone's back, because I think that is really interesting. Let me have a quick squeeze now. Let's see. Did you actually get your did you get your confirmation email? No. No. Okay. Yeah, I approved yours. I just wasn't sure whether I did it or someone else did it. Actually, there you are. Okay, so that is your username there. I won't read it out because, oops, hang on. Just let me make sure that's not inappropriate. Yeah. And then have a crack with your password.
So just try username and password as opposed to email and password?
Yeah, give that a crack.
Okay. It's all lowercase, right?
It is.
Nope. Does it tell you what my password is?
No, but I'm going to reset it for you.
Because yeah, like I think it's just having a week. They didn't get the actual confirmation email.
Yeah. I tried to get QUT to whitelist the emails last semester and it didn't happen. Okay.
With the Twitter chats, are they like on the topic of that particular week?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a big spreadsheet with
Cool, because I pretty much know which one I want to.
Oh, good.
Already.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can sign up. I'll have a sign up so people can sign up for them. I just changed it to password 1, all lowercase. So make sure you change it again, because that's highly secure.
I was about to say, I've been having trouble setting up the website too.
Yes, I've approved, I confirmed, activated your account.
Oh, did it go through?
It did. It's just that the confirmation emails get caught in the QUT spam filter.
Because I can't, I submitted it, it kept saying your website URL lowercase letters and numbers only, and I'm like, but it was. And I tried it like 4 times, and it wouldn't. It kept bouncing back
sure.
and it wasn't.
I'm sure I saw yours. No, do you know why yours wouldn't go through?
Why not?
Because I was silly and imported last year's users, and you already had an account from last year.
Of course I did, because...
But I deleted it, so you're good to go now.
Okay, so if I just do it again, they'll be fine.
Unless you're impending now.
I just want to double check.
Yeah, no, you're good to go now.
You gave an example on the form about how to fill it out. Because you've gone with one that starts with HTTP and finishes the info. Are we just writing something that will populate the middle, or are we
It's
writing
after the info.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect.
Cool.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay, we'll get cracking again. Alrighty, let's get going. So we'll just finish up talking about the Twitter chats. There was a good question when we broke up, from Steph, who asked, is it okay to link articles of websites, or are we just supposed to express our opinions? You can share whatever you want to share. Opinions that are validated by information. You can share links, you can share resources, whatever you want to share, anything goes. Absolutely share links for sure, but what usually happens in the Twitter chats is people will click the links and open them, and then they'll go back and read them later. So if you are sharing links, a really good strategy is to just give a 144-character summary of what that link is about. So are there any other questions about the Twitter chats? Yeah. Yep, Monday nights in weeks 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12 and 13. You're not here. Yep. So we've got classes in weeks, I didn't put it there. Yeah, 1, 2, in the other weeks. Yeah. Yep, so it's class or Twitter chat. So they're different ways of synchronous engagement, basically, where we're all in the same space together at the same time. So you're not here, and what else do I need to say about that? You're not here, that's all. No, that's what I was going to say. Someone asked before, is the Twitter chat on the specific topic of that week? Yes, it is. And I will be asking you to sign up for a week in which you are the Twitter chat champion. So stay tuned for a sign-up form in the not-too-distant future. What does the champion mean? It means that you're responsible for writing a reflection that week about the topic, and you need to participate in the chat. So if you can't do Monday nights, or I know 6 to 7 p.m. is like a shocking time in our house, and I'm sure that other people with small children will find the same, but if you can just make one Monday night to do it, that would be awesome. We had people last semester who were the Twitter chat champion and didn't participate in the Twitter chat that week. I haven't given that option this semester because they found it really hard to catch up on the conversation. So if you can find the hour, that is a very good thing. You've got some time, Karen, so don't panic too much about signing up right now. Okay. So let me show you the unit site, and unfortunately I have to stand up here to do that. So who's had a chance to have a look at the unit site so far? Good, excellent. I would never get that response in a class full of undergrads. It'll be like week 5. Who's looked at the unit site so far? Oh, really? Okay. Really? Ah, that's good. I have had experiences where students haven't checked their email till week 14. That's particularly challenging. Okay. No, I don't mean to be disparaging. They're actually a great bunch, and I really like teaching them. They're just different to you guys. Okay, so let me jump in here. Okay, so this is the unit site. It runs on WordPress, which is a blogging platform. The under the hood stuff, this is what we call a WordPress multi-site installation, which means that it is a blog network where you guys will all have your own blogs on the site. So your blog URL will be / whatever you choose after the / here. So 2016.informationprograms.info / whatever you want. The homepage will fairly consistently, I invariably make some tweaks in the first couple of weeks of semester as you're finding your way around the site and seeing what does and doesn't work for you. But I'll try to keep these links to the key content on here. And then underneath that is a whole bunch of feeds of content that will help you throughout the semester. So on the right-hand side is a feed of the latest tweets from the hashtag. Oh, here we go. Sue Hutley's saying hi from... She's in Vanuatu, I think, at the moment. Sue Hutley is the director of QUT Library. So that's tweets made with the hashtag. Then there is the feed of tweets from the teaching team account here, so they will sit there as well. Then there's a feed of the latest posts from the teaching team blog, which is Claire and I. And my name's showing as admin. Sorry, I forgot to change that to Kate. And then once your sites are set up and you start blogging, your posts will appear here in the left-hand column. So that will be a feed of all of your posts across the network of the blogs. And probably underneath that, there'll be a latest comments feed as well, which will be a feed of all the comments across your blogs too. So that's kind of the home page. As much as possible, I try and replicate the structure that you'll be seeing on Blackboard sites. So you'll have, instead of announcements, we have a blog here. And it is a blog, and that means you can comment. So it's not a one-way channel like announcements are on Blackboard, so please feel free to comment. There is an About page, which is the equivalent of the About the Unit on the Blackboard sites. There's some stuff about Claire and I. There's some information about how we teach in this unit, which you might like to look at, how we run the learning experiences. And under that, you'll also find a link to using Collaborate Ultra and a bunch of content on Twitter chats. And I've lost internet authentication. Just give me 1 second. I hope that that means I didn't just lose the online session. Can you guys still hear me in the online classroom? Cool. So Collaborate's hosted externally, so usually when we lose that, we lose the onliners as well. Okay, so this is the guide that I was talking to you about before, about how to participate in a Twitter chat. So there's lots of information here, including screenshots of, including a broken screenshot, which I'll fix tonight. Different tools that you might like to use to help you with the Twitter chats. Also some tips on preparing in advance so that you can be ready to go, right down to what you should be doing in the lead up to the chat and right before we get started, and then what to do at the end. How to tweet faster. So there's some tips here for those of you who think that you might be in trouble with your typing speed. So a whole bunch of information there for you. Feel free to ask questions there as well. The activity page, this is something that you won't see on other unit sites. This is basically a feed of all the activity across the site. So this will include every comment, every sign up, every blog post, everything. You can monitor that if you want to. You'll probably pretty quickly find that that is quite an overwhelming space to keep track of conversation. It's there if you want it, but there are better ways, I think, to keep in touch with what's going on. The assessment section is just like on a normal Blackboard site, has all the stuff. One thing I will highlight is I really love this style sheet we use for the way it organises information, but it doesn't show you that these are actually hyperlinks, or the headings, which is kind of annoying. And I have yet to hack the style sheet, which I will have a crack at doing in the next couple of days. Yes, I took it out because I like to finalise the requirements before I put it in, and I forgot to delete the text. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. The risk with the printable version is that once we start answering questions in the comments, though, you won't have those because it's a static version. Whereas at the, if people start asking questions about the assignment, those comments will appear here at the bottom of the page. Yeah. I'll go through the assessment in a bit more detail in a minute. What I do want to point to is the referencing and attribution, because I don't want to see any APA reference lists at the bottom of blog posts. That's not how we cite people's work in blogs. You can read my ranting about it here, but it usually takes me half the semester to convince students that I really mean it. I don't want any APA reference lists. Oh, good. Excellent. Good. Hooray! Yay! It's hard for people to let go. It's hard for undergrads to let go too. I thought it was a librarian thing, but it's apparently a thing in general. That doesn't mean we want you to steal other people's ideas or content. It just means that we reference differently in blog posts, and we do that by using contextual hyperlinks. So we link the text instead of putting an APA reference list at the bottom of the post. So it's about using the conventions of the medium. There's also information there about attribution, copyright, and Creative Commons. Don't use any copyrighted material on your blog. This is not behind a QUT firewall. This is public on the web. So if you are using copyrighted material here, not only is that not integrous behaviour as a student, that is not abiding by the rules of academic integrity, it's also illegal, and you may get a takedown notification, and you just don't want to do it. So this is a good space to learn about copyright, because as information professionals you need to know about it, and you need to know about Creative Commons, so come here and read about it and ask me if you've got any questions. We'll undoubtedly talk about it some more. So the assignment briefs are also here on these pages as well. Have a look through. I want to talk to you about some of the deadlines, which we'll do in a minute. The schedule is here too. It's a Google Doc. Did I link it there? No, I didn't. It is a Google Doc, so it is a printable version already, but it will be a moving feast because I'll be adding the questions in here, the guest tweeters. As we sign up for Twitter chats, those names will be there as well. So if you want to have a schedule, really it's only the due dates and this left-hand side that's going to be useful to you. But that's there too. So have a look through that. The learning materials, so this is just the same as on Blackboard sites. Everything's organised into weekly the pages instead of folders, as you might be used to. At the moment, these are all just, none of these are, that one does appear to be a hyperlink, but shouldn't be. So each week's page will look something like this. When we have a class, there'll be a table up the top with the information about the class. After class, there'll be a recording posted there. You can access the recordings if you're a really keen bean. You can go straight in and grab them pretty much immediately after class from the Blackboard site. It's the only bit of functionality that's turned on the Blackboard site, is the tools menu and the lecture recordings. But somebody will come through after class, export that recording and upload it to YouTube, and then embed it in the unit site, so it'll be there for you. If you can wait till the next afternoon, it'll definitely be there. But if you really need to watch it before that, you can go straight into the Blackboard site. So this is this week's material, and there's a whole bunch of stuff for you to work through. Have a read through this information before you create your account if you haven't already created it. And then there's some information for you about introducing yourself, subscribing. I do want to point out that you really must subscribe to the Teaching Team blog via either email or RSS. There's links to both there. We'll be pushing out important information in those channels, so in that channel particularly, and it's like missing the Blackboard announcements if you miss those posts. It's on the unit site. So you can subscribe. It's the Teaching Team blog. It's up here. Okay. Oh, on this site in particular or just in general? In general. Okay. Just, I will have an overview video of the site up for you that goes through where key information is after class, so just watch that again. Sorry? Yeah, so just watch the video. It won't be over long. Maybe watch it a couple of times so you can be confident that you know where information is. But if you do have problems navigating around sites and finding information, then definitely subscribe to everything you can possibly subscribe to so that it's pushed to you and you don't have to go looking for it. So I could look at the lecture recording and find it and use it to find this? Sorry, what did you say? So I could look at the lecture recording and use it to find this page? No. No. So I will put up, did you get the announcement in your inbox with a link to the website? No. Oh, okay. Did anyone else not get the announcement I sent? It was very late last night. Okay, got to check your email every day. Number 1 QUT rule, everybody checks their email every day. Honestly, I had a student this semester who didn't check their email till the end of the semester, and it was, you know, they failed and they could have passed. So, okay, cool, no worries. Well, I have a habit of doing this kind of work at night, so that's usually I'm in meetings in the day, and then I do email and stuff at night. Karen, I'll come back to you in a second with that comment about the validation link. So the link to access the unit site is on the one and only announcement on Blackboard. So if you go via Blackboard, there's a link there to the unit site, and everything's there. And then watch the overview video, and that will help you to find information. But there's a subscription option for basically everything you need, apart from the weekly pages, which you just need to go to Learning Materials and click on the week number each week. And that's where you'll find everything. But if any of it doesn't make sense or isn't clear, let me know. I've tried to use the standard navigation, but sometimes it is a bit different. Heidi, I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so the weekly pages will look like this. In the weeks that we have classes, there might be a couple of readings there for you to do. In the weeks we don't have classes, there'll be structured information on what you need to do, like read these articles, watch these videos, and so forth. So just step through that and let me know if you've got any questions at all. The last link on the navigation is the students page, and there's 2 things on this page. There's a directory of students, and there is links to the student blogs. So under the directory, it's actually not just a student directory. Claire and I are in there too, but you'll see that all the members on the site are listed there, and you guys will need to set up your profiles. This is mine, so it's a bit like Facebook. You can create a header image, upload a profile pic. Everybody has to have a profile pic. It doesn't have to be a photo of you, but it just needs to be unique so that we can look at you in the newsfeed and go, oh yeah, and come to associate those photos with people's names. Do you have a question?
More of a statement?
Yeah.
It's really hard to upload the profile picture at the moment if you don't get a confirmation email for some reason.
Ah, really? Interesting.
I'm trying to do it currently.
Won't let you do it? May not be, it may be, there may be something else stopping it. I'll have a look. Okay, so conundrum. QUT's spam filter is incredibly aggressive, and it has eaten up all of your confirmation emails, and it will probably continue to eat up your confirmation emails. So things that you can do, first of all, are whitelist my email address. So in your student email application, you can go in and whitelist it. I'll put some instructions up for you on how to do that. Let me make a note. I am going to go through and activate your accounts for you, but today I didn't sit down at my desk until 5:05, and that's when I did the first round of activations. So I will, Karen, I've actually already activated yours. Let me just double check. Actually, I'll check after. Actually, I've got it open now. I'll check now. So there are only 3 pending right now. Karen, you're activated and ready to roll. Nope, I've got 6 pending now. And anybody that is pending is now activated. Okay. So I will put up a blog post that gives you information on what to do if it wasn't activated, like where to go to log in and all of that kind of stuff. I know it's really annoying, but because QUT's email is in the cloud, they don't control all the whitelisting, like global whitelisting. It's very annoying. It will iron out after a couple of days though, so just bear with me and we will get there. There's no super great urgency here. I want you to write a post to introduce yourself, but you don't have to, you're not being assessed on it, so it's not like it's the end of the world if it takes you a couple of days to get activated, so don't panic. We will get there. Okay, so it's going to take you some time to find your way around the site and to learn where everything is. There will be site overview videos and that will help you to get to know it, but you're just going to have to click around a bit and see how you go, and Blackboard will largely be like that too. So hopefully, I think it's fairly intuitive, I hope. But if it's not, let me know and we can look at that. Did anyone have any questions about the site before I move on? No? Okay. How many of you have done emerging technologies for information practice? Okay, a few of you. Okay. Fairly similar site structure. Yeah. Okay, so it's not good on your computer either. Okay. I can. It's a pretty radical redesign though, so leave it with me and I'll see what I can do. Just leave it with me and I'll see what I can do. There's a couple of undesirable things about this, this particular template, but it has a lot of desirable features. It's like a, you know, yeah, and yeah. Yeah, you can always use the accessibility settings. Yes. Yep. Yep. Yes, I like how this style, that's one of the reasons why I like this style sheet, is that I like how it looks on a phone. Yeah. And it is how a lot of people engage with it as well. So we'll iron out the issues over the next couple of days, I hope. But yeah. Okay. I think it's a WebKit font setup, so I may be able to switch the fonts. Okay. Any other questions about site? The good news is it's not Blackboard. I'm not the hugest fan of Blackboard. You'll all come to... Good! Hooray! That's the aim. Okay, let me just get back to these slides. Okay, so the other really big part of the online learning environment is Twitter, which is where you'll be having conversations. So I've got a guide on getting started with Twitter. There's a blog post going up at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning on Twitter as well, so keep an eye out for that, and that will help you with getting started with Twitter too. Neil, why not Blackboard? Blackboard is dinosaur software, basically, that doesn't let you kind of use any of the the things that are so great about the web. And it's very locked down and dumbed down, so you can't really change things. It's kind of frustrating. It's frustrating as a teacher, and the social functionality is not particularly good. That's the short answer. Okay, let me tell you about the assessment. And before I start talking about the assessment, I'm just going to say, I know I wanted to hear it said by a teacher. There is interactivity functionality in Blackboard, but it's basically discussion boards, and they're not very accessible on mobile devices, which means you get delayed responses from lecturers, and threaded discussions aren't very pretty, and all that kind of thing. And it's not mobile friendly at all. Okay, let's talk about the assessment. The first thing I wanted to say is, I guess this is another one of the principles of this unit, and that is the idea of assessment as learning objects. One of my favourite bits of feedback in the feedback from this unit last year was, I learnt more from students, I learnt just as much from students' blogs as I did from the classes, and that's by design. We get you blogging in this unit because it lets you benefit from everything that everyone else already knows and is learning. So we want you to be writing blog posts that become learning objects for your peers. You'll learn from each other as you go through. And that's kind of part of one of the principles of connected learning, which is kind of the pedagogical foundation that this unit is built on. The idea that we learn from others, but that by having you create your own blog posts, you direct your learning, look at things that you're interested in looking at, do this in a kind of peer-to-peer collaborative way, and learn from each other along the way as well. That's not to say I'm going to teach you nothing, just to be clear. You're not going to do all the work. So this is a QUT policy that I don't love, which is that if you submit an assignment late, you get 0%. So don't submit assessment late, is the message. There's no need to submit assessment late. With your blog posts, you don't need to apply for a formal extension because they're just a little part of a bigger assignment. If you're going to be late with a blog post, just shoot me an email and let me know. Shoot Claire and I an email at the Gmail account. And we'll talk to you about how to manage that and so forth. If you get to the end of semester and you're working on your grant application and you need an extension and it's a Sunday and you haven't been able to talk to us about it in advance, that's fine. Apply for an extension, but make sure you email us and advise us as well. We don't find out that you've applied for an extension unless it's approved, so we don't find out if it gets declined, and we don't find out until it's gone through that approval process. And at peak times, it can take some time to do that. So contact us in advance and make arrangements if you can, but if you do have to apply for an extension, if you contact us and say I need an extension, we'll tell you to fill in the formal request as well, but we can also kind of talk to you about how you can make things work better. We don't want you to get to the end of semester and have a big piece of assessment due and be in a panic and not talk to us and not submit anything and fail. We don't like giving 0% at all. The other thing that I need to talk to you about is academic integrity. Academic integrity means that you are, I guess, acting in an integrous manner, that you attribute other people's ideas as well as other people's words. So when you're taking someone else's ideas from published literature, that you refer back to where you got that from. That you're always submitting your own work. Don't buy your assessment. And we can tell when people have bought assessment or when people have used other people's words and ideas. If you don't know what academic integrity is, then please ask for help because we would love to help you with it. And it is a really serious matter. If you submit an assignment and there's work in it that's not your own, or we suspect you've bought an assignment, we will refer you to the faculty, and there is a misconduct committee, and the penalties are really severe. They range from failing the assignment to failing the unit to expulsion from the university, and you just don't want to go there. Plus, those of you who came to Yes, Thank you, Melania Trump, for, is that how you say it? Is that Melania? Yeah. Thank you for the most contemporary, best ever example of what not to do. Michelle Obama's speech, bad idea. Don't go there. I think I read an article that said teachers everywhere are thanking her for a great example of what not to do with plagiarism.
I think that's probably the best advice to give someone who thinks about it. Considering your librarians are getting our...
Yeah, we know. We've got ninja search skills. I can find a bit of plagiarized content like you wouldn't believe. Like it's almost like a sport. We will find it.
Plagiarism, say someone paraphrase something, but I can't think of doing that with ambiguity. Should I put that in as a quote instead?
So if you paraphrase somebody,
I mean, I want to paraphrase, but I can't think of a better way to put it than the way they have. Should I just...
yeah.
Just quote it?
If you can't say it better, just quote it. Yep. 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 Quoting's fine. Just don't write an assignment that is cobbled together quotes, basically. Yeah. Oh, look, different people have different opinions about word counts. I am of the I don't really look at them school. That's not an invitation to blow it out of the water either. Claire might look at them. Yeah, sorry. It's Claire's rule here. Claire's doing the marking. Don't blow the word count out of the water. Look, we don't have time to highlight the whole document, see how many words are in it, highlight some of your quotes, see how many words are in them. You know, I was one of those students who was down to the line and always had too many words, so I never wanted the quotes to count. At the end of the day, we can look at an assignment and get a feel for whether it's too long or not. Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all good. I mean, yeah. Yeah. So Claire just said if it takes her longer to read your assignment than someone else's, she knows it's too long. The other thing too is with your grant application assignment, the form will not allow you to input any more characters. Like, it chops you off. And there's a reason for that. That's what applying for a grant is like, and it's freaking torturous. I mean, when it's grant season, we are literally sitting here, like I will Control F in documents to get rid of double spaces that have gotten in there accidentally because we're that short on characters. That's what writing a grant application is like. You've got to be able to articulate yourself within the word limit, and it's often a character limit, not a word limit. And sometimes the software where you input it when you submit the application doesn't quite calculate characters the same way as Microsoft Word. And then you get there and you've got to get 50 characters out somehow. So that's kind of the nature of the beast. So we will be enforcing word limits on that assignment, because that's kind of part of learning to write a grant application. It's not because we're nasty. Maybe just a little bit nasty. With your blog posts, though, we've said 500 words, but see, the other thing about word limits is they're not just us going, I don't want to read more than 500 words. They're actually an indication of how much effort you should put into things, so that's another way to gauge word limits. Look at them and go, this is 500 words, that other thing is 3,000 words. How much time should I be putting into each one? They're there as a kind of indicator to you. Been having this debate in another unit where we're like, we don't want to have word limits, and I'm like, well then how much, how do people gauge how much effort or time they should put into things? So yeah, use the word limits in the kind of spirit that they're intended in. Yeah. Okay, so don't cheat, we'll catch you. Dead set, we really will catch you. I know all the tricks. I know how many words. We don't use Turnitin or any kind of plagiarism checking software in this unit, but we know how many words you can have the same before you need to change a word. We know that stuff. We got it all. We know it all. We'll catch you. Okay, so assignment 1, the learning blog. I'm not going to talk much about assignment 2 and 3 tonight. Let me just say that last year everyone was really worried about the grant application assignment. Like really, really worried about it. but don't worry about it because they loved it. It was like a universally well-loved assignment. It's not as hard as it sounds, but we're not going to deal with it yet because you've got a lot of time before we get there. The information's on the site if you want to have a look, but don't panic about it yet. Okay, so you'll be writing blog posts in these weeks. Now, this is slightly different on the site, and I will get this updated in the next day. I wasn't going to give you a get-out-of-jail-free card, but I changed my mind. So, you need to write a blog post in all of these weeks, but you can miss one of them, and you can pick whichever one you want to miss. So just factor that in. Have a look at when you've got other assessment due. Decide what might be a busy time for you, which topics interest you more than others. Pick one of those weeks where you're not going to write a post and use your get-out-of-jail-free card in that week. Yeah, you can do them all if you want to. Absolutely. No bonus marks for doing them all, though. No bonus marks for doing them all. But yeah, you can do them all if you want to, but you can also skip a week. So you need to do a post in all of those weeks. Now, you also need to do a post in week 2 and week 14. So it's 8 posts in total. Does that add up to 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So everyone does one in week 2 and 14, and you all do 6 out of those 7 weeks. Now, the schedule on the unit site has all of this mapped out. There is one thing I wanted to run past you guys, and it is this. Normally, I give people 2 weeks to respond to the reflection prompts and post their blog posts so that you've got a whole 2-week period to write the post. I want to suggest that we don't do that this time. And the reason is, if we do that, you're not going to be getting any feedback back on your blog posts until like week 11. And I'd like it to be earlier than that, so we can get them back to you by week 10 if you don't have the 2 weeks. Here's the caveat. I will make those resources available in advance, so you can start working on the blog post early if you want to. So you just need to make that post in the week. The only time when that might be a tight timeline for you is your Twitter chat champion week, when you'll be writing a reflection on the Twitter chat. So the Twitter chat will happen on the Monday night, and you'll need to submit your post on the Sunday night. That's the only kind of time when it will impact. Otherwise, you can start writing your reflections as soon as I get the resources up, which will happen progressively over, say, the next week or 2. Yes, I can. I'll repeat it with a look at the schedule. That will make more sense. Yeah. That's because I forgot to click the share button. That's the peril of running 2 computers. Sorry. Thanks, Claire. Okay. I'll just wait for it to load. Okay. So here's the schedule. Basically, we'll be a bit lenient with next week's post. We'll give you 2 weeks on that one. But basically, you'll have the reference materials will go up in the next few days, and then you'll need to make that post by the end of week 3. So the week we cover the topic in, you'll put your post up by the Sunday night. But you'll have the resources well in advance of that, so you'll have more time to work on them. I'm also open to giving you 2 weeks, but you should know that you'll get your posts back later from marking. So I'll let you guys mull on that for a couple of days and see what you would prefer. So let me just run through it one more time. So in weeks 3, 5, 7, etc., you'll have a blog post to write. The materials will be up shortly, and then you need to make your post by the Sunday night of that week. Alternatively, we can give you 2 weeks, but you get your feedback back later.
So you're judging Sunday as the last day of the week?
Yeah, weeks 1 Monday to Sunday.
Okay, because that wasn't Sunday the first day of the week, actually.
Yeah, we do things differently. No, it just depends on where you went to school. Yeah. Yeah. So Claire's just saying that her day to work on this unit really is Mondays. So if you're making your post by Sunday night, that also does play into it. But we also know that a lot of students in this degree work full time and need the weekend to get through the work. So we run weeks Monday to Sunday, and it will be the same in all the core units you do in this degree. We'll talk about the weeks as starting on Mondays. Yeah.
But then you said there's also one in week 2. We have to do week 2 and week 14.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. We'll give you a couple of weeks on the week 2 post.
and that's up already what we
No, but I'll give you a couple of weeks on it to make up for it. Yeah.
And then you said the complicating factor was when you were Twitter champion for that week, because you've also got to do a reflection.
Yeah, so you need to write a what you're marked on when you're the Twitter chat champion is your reflection. So we're always marking you on your reflection. So if you're the Twitter chat champion, you will have the Twitter chat on the Monday night, and then you'll have to write your reflection by the Sunday.
So the reflection will be part of the blog?
Yes.
Correct. Got it.
So that's the week that you might do your blog, include the reflection.
No, the reflections go on your blog. So they're all the posts are reflections. Yeah. It's just that you've got a week, not 2 weeks, whereas in other units when we're writing blog posts, we like to give you 2 weeks.
When you write your blog, you write about what you're interested in that section.
Yep.
And when you write as a Twitter champion,
You're writing about the Twitter chat. Or the bits of, you can write a bit of a analytical overview of the whole Twitter chat, or you can pick up on a theme in the Twitter chat that you enjoyed and write about that one theme. You don't have to be complete. You're still, yeah. It can be, it can be about the whole chat as a whole, which I will say typically the better reflective posts on the Twitter chats last year focused on in a bit more narrowly. So don't just write a summary, because a summary isn't going to get real critical analysis. Yeah, that will get you a 4 or a 5. To get a 6 or a 7, you want to be really getting into some critical analysis. That sounds perfect. It sounds so good, I'm going to repeat it. So Helen just said, so does that mean if we're doing the Twitter chat champion post, can we then go off and do a bit of research about something that was said and then respond to it? Absolutely, that's how you get a 7 on the Twitter chat champion activity. No, not a summary. So, because a summary would be descriptive. If you want to give a summary, it needs to be a critical, analytical summary. You won't be able to summarise the whole Twitter chat.
So it's critical analysis pretty much.
Yeah, always critical analysis.
So when you're champion, you do what you're interested about that week's topic, and when you do champion, you do critical analysis of Twitter chats.
Yeah, you're always doing critical analysis, whatever your post is about. Can you rewrite? Yes. Your posts are due on a Sunday night. You can rewrite, edit, do whatever you want with your blog posts right up till Claire marks them. Yes. Yep. Yep. So there's 2 checkpoints. And this is flashing at me, hang on 1 second. There are 2 checkpoints for the blog post assignment. At those checkpoints we mark the first 4 posts the first time round, the second 4 posts the second time round. You can keep editing your posts right up until Claire marks them. So you make them on a Sunday night, keep editing them till later. I know this sounds really complicated, but it will be very clear, and there will be a really short overview video that you can refer to run you through it.
And they're about 500 words a piece.
Yeah, about 500 words per post. I find that flashing so incredibly distracting. Sorry. It's like, hurry up, hurry up. Let me see if I can extend it again and stop it flashing. No. Okay. So bear with me for a couple of days. Find your way around the site. Don't even think about the assessment for now. Set up your blog, write your introductory post, forget the assessment. You just need to, it's the first day of semester, everything's going to feel a bit crazy. What was that? Yeah, forget the assessment. Absolutely. You're not, I mean, we're so far off anything being due. Don't worry about it. Forget about next week's reflection. Don't worry. I'm not out to get you. I promise I'll make it okay. And you're going to read the assignment brief on the site and you're going to go, oh my God, there's different types of blog posts we have to do. Yes, there is. We are going to require you to go and review a service and review a program. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want. But you need to go and start engaging with libraries and looking at what they do. And I promise you, I will walk you through it. There'll be a short video. You can watch it. You'll know what you're doing. It'll all be awesome. I promise. Yeah. Can I tell you that last year, I was so concerned by the number of 7s in this unit, I was worried about submitting the marks. Yes, she gave me a 6, so it's not her being too soft either. This is a good unit. The assessment is geared to help you to come to grips with the content. Let me handle the mechanics. I will make sure you're okay. Every week on the weekly page, there will be a box at the top that says, this is what's due this week, this is what's due next week, this is what's due the week after. On each weekly page. So there's a page for every week on the unit site under learning materials. On that page, every week, I will put a box at the top that says what's due this week, what's due next week, what's due the week after. So you'll be fine. Once we've walked through all the assessment, my main concern right now is you get your blog set up and find your way around the site and we deal with the bloody spam filter. And then we'll worry about assessment, okay? You should be... No, I've activated you now. Yeah. Ah, bloody hell, everyone is. Okay. So, did you manage to get logged in? You can't change your profile picture. Wacky. Just give me one. I'm not quite finished, so don't pack up and run away. That's okay. We'll have a look. Okay. No, I'll sort it out in between. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily turn off the... So I have this site set up so that it blocks non-QUT email addresses. I'm going to turn it off and you can all register with your personal email addresses. Then it won't go to your spam filter. I will delete everybody's accounts. Don't anybody sign up in the next 10 minutes. As soon as you guys leave here... Yeah. That way you'll get all the alerts for the whole semester and you won't be messing about with the QUT spam filter. It's the silly spam filter. That's a nice way of saying silly spam filter. Oh. I know, it's bane of my existence. Yeah.
It doesn't have trouble. I have trouble doing the same thing. The best browser I found to access QUT sites is Mozilla Firefox.
Mm.
Firefox for a while. It's funny.
Yeah, I'm a Chrome girl.
Safari, every time I have to read my student emails, and Safari's like, welcome back, we missed you.
Can we become your default again? No, I don't think so. Okay, so Claire just made a comment in the chat. Don't sign up tonight, just wait. Good point. Once you guys leave here, I'll just get in the back end, delete those accounts and make it allow you to have whatever emails you like. Register as fast as you can because we will get spammers hitting the site, so I need to lock that down as soon as I can. Yeah, register as soon as you can. I'll keep an eye out for things. You should get the activation emails. If you are using Gmail or whatever, it may go to your spam folder, but you can actually check your spam folder there, which is kind of useful. Okay, so that is that's kind of what I wanted to say. Let's get the site going, then we'll all come back together, we'll talk some more about the assignment, and all will be dandy.
Just to clarify, Kate,
Yeah.
there is a physical class next week.
There is a physical class next week. Yeah. Now, just hold on 1 second. Okay, so if you haven't yet found the site, go to the Blackboard site, click the link off to the site. After this evening, you'll be able to register. You can start having a look round without being signed up for the site, so feel free to keep having a look. Next week, there is a class. Class will be here from 5:30 till 7:30. And then the following week, we'll have our first Twitter chat. But just keep an eye on the blog. You'll see all the announcements. For the first week or two, I do cross-post things on Blackboard so that it pushes to your inbox until I know that you're all signed up and happy and we're all okay. That is really it. If anybody's got any questions, you can tweet us. Just to remind you, the Twitter handle is... the Twitter handle's on the screen. It's @QUTIFN614. You can email us at the Gmail account. If in doubt, shoot me an email and it'll all work out okay in the end.
So will you let us know when we're okay to start registering?
Yeah, I'll send an announcement later tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's ready to roll. Probably be in the next half hour, but just in case I get caught up. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. Okay, that's all I had. Does anyone have any questions about anything at all? No worries. Thank you. Nice to see you all. And I think you'll have a fun semester. It's a fun unit. And good luck for the rest of the week. Yeah, well, definitely if that's where you want to direct your assessment, you're more than welcome to do that. Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, in the online classroom, did any of you have any questions before I log off? Shoot, Steph. No. Yeah, no, because everyone's like, yeah, too long. Yeah, no, 5:30 till 7:30. Yeah, 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 yeah. No worries, Kelly, just register when you're able, that's fine. Steph, I think Claire was just being cautious in case I didn't get it done. I'm going to just quickly jump in now, delete the existing accounts and change those email domains so that you can go ahead and register. So give me half an hour. You'll probably see an announcement come through via Blackboard letting you know when you're ready to roll. Bye, Leela. Nice to kind of virtually see you, sorta. We'd love to see a baby pic sometime. Night, guys. Just yell out if you have any questions.